Everyone, and welcome to Apprenticeish, where we talk all about apprentices, apprenticeships, kind of. In today's video, we will be talking about the experiences of a couple people that I've come across. Obviously myself, working in different firms and different companies, work experience, talking to different people, and just bringing attention to this matter. I really want it to be realistic, but also encouraging. I have some hesitations about making this video, but I hope you guys enjoy it. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so I feel like that I actually do need to give a disclaimer. I'm talking about the experience of working in a law firm more generally, team lunches, general firm culture, all of it is real. This is not just about me, but also not just about me and my experiences, but a variety of people I've come across, research that I've actually done. And it's based on your experience as a Black person is obviously not going to be the same as everyone in every place you go to. It's based on a number of different variables: gender, size of the firm, culture of the firm, department, what level you're at. And I hope this video is actually encouraging, but what I'm about to say doesn't happen in every single law firm, doesn't happen everywhere in law. But yeah, let's just get right into the video. I just wanted to give that disclaimer on that. Okay, so the first thing that is probably quite noticeable, I'd probably say quite quickly, is the racial makeup of a firm. More likely than not, especially if it's a large corporate firm, there aren't as many people that look like you. This tends to be the case in large corporate companies versus smaller firms. I'm talking like usually around the London makeup. I think obviously if you go outside of London, I'm sure there will be plenty of small law firms, local law firms, where there may be literally nobody that looks like you. You might be the only Black person in the office, on the team, on the floor, in the company, in fact, because that's a real thing. You might be the only person who is Black at your level. There are two responses that people have to this. There are some people who find it very empowering to be like, I'm here, I can make a change, like we can do things differently and bring a different pool of people into the company to, better further not only this firm, but also the legal profession as a whole. Some people find it very discouraging in the sense that, you want to have somebody who is around you, who is of the similar level, someone that you believe and feel like you can relate to. And this idea of relatability, particularly in workplace culture, is important. It's important to feel like you can connect with the people that you work with. You don't need to be best friends, but it's entirely realistic to have a desire to work with people who can understand you on a cultural level. Now, the reason why I say that this tends to be more of the case in larger firms, larger corporate firms in particular, is because of some of the diversity statistics that are on the SRA website. So I'm not just saying a lot of words. This is actually backed by data. So I'm going to include a link to that in the description below if anyone's really interested in doing the research. There's a lot out there, guys. There's a lot out there. So yeah, that's point number one. The second point is, I think this is it's definitely a negative point, is that there's a very high possibility at some point in your career, it may not be regularly, it might happen one time, heck, might not even happen at all. But the possibility of encountering a microaggression is probably quite likely, usually because of ignorance, unconscious bias. People just say a lot of words at work sometimes. It's not your job to educate them. If someone says something that's wildly outrageous, it's easier to pick up on, it's easier to identify, it's easier to address. But I think when it's something that's really small, when you notice, you're doing all these things with everyone else, but when it comes to me, bit of an issue. I'm not going to give examples, actually. I was going to, because I actually have a list. I have a list of examples of things that myself and many other people have experienced. But I do also want to caveat that with the other point, which is sometimes and I'm pretty sure that people may fight me on this. Sometimes it's actually not a race thing. Sometimes it's not a gender thing. I have to say this. People may agree with me, some people may disagree with me, but I do think the experience of a black man in law compared to a black woman in law is not the same. From my own eyes, from what I've observed across my working career, working experience, connecting with other professionals and hearing their stories, the treatment is it's different. How it is different, I will not be speaking on. But I do just want to say that sometimes it's not a race thing, sometimes it's a gender thing, and sometimes it's literally not anything at all. Sometimes there are actually things that, you know, if you feel like, for example, your supervisor is, you know, singling you out, or, you know, they're doing this work thing for everyone else, but you're not getting it. It genuinely might be a thing where you need to upskill, and that there are some skill issues that need to be addressed within yourself. Sometimes it's literally you don't write well. And that's okay. It's extremely humbling, but that's okay. These are things we can work on. It does take, I would say, some discernment, wisdom, to know the difference between when actually you might need some areas in your skill that, you know, need to improve. Maybe your communication isn't A1, I don't know. But there are some times when it is almost impossible to deny. And sometimes there's a thin line between them both. And I think that's where it's helpful sometimes to get second opinion. It's helpful to have a listening ear to help you balance it out and understand things. So I think if you are in that situation, confide in someone trusted. I'm not necessarily saying that you should go to another work colleague. Someone who has, you know, some wisdom about them. Another thing that I wanted to add as well, or a separate point moving on, is sometimes there are different firms and different companies as well that have mentoring specifically aimed at our firm. We call it like Black, Asian and Global Majority. So I just say global majority, a myriad of different things. But in essence, the whole idea is to ensure that there is diversity in the progression of your career. So there may be an opportunity in your law firm where you are mentored from someone who is, you know, way more experienced than you. They have the career goals that you want. Maybe they're a partner, maybe they're a senior associate, maybe they're an equity partner. And they can mentor you into getting into progressing and developing your career in a way that's sustainable, healthy, and they can give you things that sometimes you it's quite hard to learn, and it's easier to have. You know, it's just nicer to, you know, when someone has gone through an experience and they're sharing that with you, it's a place where you can build and grow off of somebody else's experience. You don't have to, I don't want to say suffer, but you don't have to go through the same difficulties or challenges that they went through, because they can educate you and coach you into elevating your career. So, and yourself. You may have access to more mentoring programs or programs developing specifically global majority groups. The next thing about what it's really like being a Black person working in law is I've put it here as the promotion complex. Okay. So there aren't enough Black people in high positions and they're not being promoted in order to progress, and or the working environment is actually far too hostile for them to stay in, or for us to stay in, because I'm Black, if you didn't know. That it leads into, I'm just going to wrap the 2 points together, which is there's not a supportive environment that's conducive of growth. Some environments are so hostile. Some environments are really challenging to work in. And quite frankly, I don't think anyone should be going to work having mental health issues as a result of how they're being treated at work. That's really not nice, not fun, and avoidable. So I do think some working environments can be very hostile, particularly towards Black people. It is quite challenging to break that down. And actually, I really believe that the Black Solicitors Network did some research on this when I was researching this topic. I came across something, so I'll link it in the description below, but I'm pretty sure they did like a report a little while ago now, and it spoke about all of these things, because I was thinking about it and I was like, why aren't there more, Black partners? Why there's so many Black people, men, women, who really want to progress and develop in law. They want to become partners. There's so many different people who want to set up their firms. Again, if you look at the statistics, you'll see very clearly that in the past, there's definitely been a disparity. And I think the legal profession as a whole is moving forward towards a more balanced reflection of the general population in the UK, with the number of Black people who are in this profession. Whether or not they progress or not is another question. I've also heard this whole commentary about diversity quotas, and like whether or not people get the role just because they're Black. It's like, honestly, literally cannot express how insulting it is to say to someone that you only got the role because of your skin color. Like, that is the most outrageous thing that I've ever heard in my entire career, which sounds outrageous in itself, but there are more outrageous things to say, to be honest. But I'm highlighting it because the amount of work, the amount of hours, energy, sacrifice that you have to put into your legal career to progress, to, get recognition, to develop your clientele, your skill set. It's an insult to say to somebody, you only got that role because you're Black. Outrageous. I honestly think I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other things that could be said. I think what I will say, because I only have a short amount of time to film a third video, is if you want to join law, don't be discouraged because you don't know anyone who works in law, because of your skin color, because of your gender, because of any other protective characteristic. Like that, there is a space in law that's being created and curated for a myriad of different people from different backgrounds and different upbringings. Because I believe that through diversity, you can really bring forward a new way of finding a solution to problems and identifying different pain points that we as a society face on a regular basis. So listen, we need you in law. We need you in law in whatever way that looks like: compliance, business, corporate, human rights. And it's changing and it's developing. And you know what? It is interesting. I'm going to say this story, but I'm going to wrap it up here. There was one time I'm quite a friendly person. If you meet me in person, I tend to be, unless I'm like hella tired. End of the day, don't catch me. But morning and afternoon, super high energy. There was one time I walked into the lift and this person literally like physically made themselves as small as possible, as in to like get away from me. It appeared that way, and ran out the lift. I was like, I don't even know you. All that to say really is that sometimes people find your mere presence intimidating, but sometimes you're not intimidating. They are intimidated, and it's a fact of life. That's really not, it's not your responsibility to like, I don't need to do anything. Anyway, Chair, I think the law is changing and it's looking like it's becoming more conducive of growth, and I'm really enjoying that. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. À plus tard.